Hello, welcome to the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. So it's 29th of March today. We're coming into spring very slowly. We've had a couple of nice days, thankfully. So today I've got some knitting to share with you. It's mostly knitting. I've got one small sewing thing to chat with you about. Then I've got the blast from the past, gadget, confessions, and these are very few because I'm going to put my Edinburgh Yarn Festival haul in the separate video with the sort of Edinburgh Yarn Festival footage. And then I'm going to give you some more information on my shop update, which I'm going to move forward till the 6th of April at 7:30 British summertime. So let's get on with a bit of administration I've got to chat to you about before we start. So we've got two knit-alongs going on at the moment. It's the Christmas craft along. Everyone's been joining in and getting themselves all prepared for Christmas already so that they can relax at the end of the year. The V for Valentine's knit-along has actually ended, but I'm just going to leave the thread open, the finished objects thread open, just till the end of the Easter weekend so that it gives you a chance to get your finished objects in, just in case you haven't had a chance to pop it in there. And we've got a new knit along starting. So I designed the Buttercup sock pattern using the lovely yarn that Kelly Lay from Lay Family Yarns had dyed up with our kit that we sold. So this is the pattern. There's little paw prints going up the side of the sock, which is in like a lace style. And this pattern will go on sale tomorrow. Well, actually, I'll probably put it up today just so that I know that it's up in plenty of time for the 30th, and then we're going to do a knit along for it. So I know that my test knitters had done versions of these with actually additional repeats of the little footprints, and I thought that looked really nice. If I remember, I'll pop a picture up here, but I know one of my test knitters actually sent me the socks already, and there you can see the footprints a little bit clearer on sort of plain yarn just to see how it looks. So if you'd like to come and join us, if you've got a kit, you can knit them in the same yarn as Kelly's dyed up. I know that she's actually made this yarn called Buttercup a permanent colour that she dyes up. So if you want to get hold of some, if you go to her shop Lay Family Yarn, you'll be able to get hold of some there. But if you've got the kit, you've got the yarn ready to go, and you can join in with the knit along even if you haven't got the kit, but you can purchase the pattern on Ravelry. So there we go. That's the Buttercup knit along. So don't forget to join in if you are going to knit them. I'll have a discussion thread and then a finished objects thread I'll open as well, and I'll do that hopefully when I finish recording this. I'll hopefully remember. So I'm also going to record a separate video with my I've just mentioned this already with my haul from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, just in case you didn't want to see all that. There's not too much though, it's not too bad. I was preparing myself for a ridiculous amount of yarn, but I just got so overwhelmed. Anyway, if you're interested in that, I'll pop a video in the next couple of days about the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and how I got on there. So I'll start off with a knitting section. So I've been very busy knitting socks. So if you watched the last episode, you know that I started these socks and I'd done the Afterthought Everything socks. So I'd basically done a cuff and then a massive tube and then done another cuff on the other end, and then I've split them into two socks and added heels in as well. And somebody wanted to know exactly what the pattern sort of consisted of, and I don't want to share with you too much because it is a paid for pattern. The pattern is by Erica Kempf Broughton and it's called the Afterthought and Everything socks, but it does involve afterthought heels. It does involve both techniques of a true afterthought and using waste yarn. So that's all I'm going to say. But I actually did mine slightly different, where I did mine afterthought heels completely true afterthought with the heels and toes. There's an option to do a picot edge on the top as well, so that is another interesting feature. So I've been knitting socks when I was driving up to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Well, I wasn't driving, Adam was driving, and I got to sit and just knit the whole way. So to start with, I started to cast on these socks. It's made out of West Yorkshire Spinners Blueface Leicester DK, and it's, I'm not quite sure what colourway it is, there's just numbers on the back. It's a brown shades colourway anyway. They shouldn't write their names on the labels, I don't know. I think they do have names for their colourways, but they don't ever write them on the labels, which I think's odd. So this is a DK weight sock. I've never actually knitted DK weight socks before, and these particular ones I used 44 stitches, and I think I used a 3.5mm needle. If I didn't, I'll write it down here. So I just had a bit of a play with sort of how many stitches to use for Adam. So 44 stitches on DK yarn and 3.5mm needles was good for a pair of socks for Adam. And I've tried them on him and they fit. But they are actually going to be his Christmas gift, but he'll forget by the end of the year. So there we go. So they don't match, but I noticed... Oh, actually, they do a little bit if I hold them up there, but they don't match exactly. Just so that I wanted to see whether I could get a full pair of socks out of a 100-gram ball of DK yarn. And I managed to get these out of one ball, and I had a little bit extra when I've done quite skinny socks because he's quite slim-legged, so 44 stitches was fine for him. So that was good to know. And then, because I bought 2 balls thinking it might take me just over a ball to actually knit a pair of socks with that DK yarn, I cast on a second pair of socks with the second ball, and this time I knitted these for my dad. So these socks I did 56 stitches on the same 3.5mm needles, because my dad likes them nice and loose around his leg. He doesn't like them tight, and he's got quite wide feet, so they were a much bigger sock, but I did them quite short just because I thought, oh, I might run out of yarn. And I ended up using the full 100-gram ball and just a little bit of the yarn that was left over from these socks. So I think if you did these toe up, you could make sure that you got a full pair of socks out of the DK yarn, no matter how many stitches you cast on. I'm going to plan in the future to do sort of sock instructions for sort of any weight of yarn, so you can just pick the number of stitches you want to cast on and then go from there. But I need to make time to do that. I don't know where the time goes. So those are for Dad, and again, they're not matching socks, but they're really squishy and cozy. These are 100% wool, so I don't know how they're going to wear really. I tried to do a slip stitch heel so that it would give extra strength in the heel, because there's no nylon in it. I will let you know how they wear. But it won't be till after Christmas, I'm afraid, because they're going to be a Christmas gift. Both socks are knitted using a slip stitch heel, and I've done a 2x2 rib at the top on both of them, just a standard, my sort of standard vanilla socks really. So yeah, I'm hoping to get the sock pattern out for my vanilla socks for all sort of yarn weights, going from 4-ply up to Aran, I hope, in the future. So look out for that. Right, so that's all my finished objects. I'm going to show you my works in progress. So if I haven't knitted enough socks already, I cast on another sock. So this time I'm using no, it's not Knit Picks Felici. I'm going nuts. So this time I've cast on with a blue yarn in the Drops Fable in the 677 colourway. And do you know what? I'm really impressed with this Drops Fable. The more I use it, I think the more I'm likely to use it more regularly, because it's really, really good value for money. It wears really well, because I know, because I've knitted Adam a couple of pairs of socks in this yarn already, and this colour is gorgeous. I love this teal colour in that way it's striping. So these are going to be another gift for Adam, I think, and these are going to probably be his birthday presents, so they don't really count for the Christmas craft along, but I'm still sort of getting myself organised, and his birthday is in November, so I'm very organised. So the pattern I have followed is my basic toe-up sock pattern, which I've already uploaded tutorials a little while ago on how to do that. And what I was going to do, I've been knitting and knitting. I've got 2 of 50-gram balls, and I'm going to see if I can use up the whole ball and see how long they come up. But I'm going to get Adam to try these on tonight, and just to make sure that they still fit around his leg there. He's not got very big calves, so he should be okay, but I might just end up having to increase a few stitches so that they fit around his leg snugly. So I'll let you know how I get on with those. So those are quite good. These doing toe up as well meant that I could take them to the cinema, so I knitted basically from there to there while I was watching The Greatest Showman at the cinema at the weekend, which was nice. So there we go. Now, I've got a bit of an obsession starting. So I've got some Colourwork. So these are my Dale socks by a Homespun House, and they're knitted in this colour. Here is a cream opal yarn, and this one here is a purpley pink, which doesn't show up very well on the camera, I'm afraid, in a West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply, signature 4-ply, that's it. And I'm actually quite pleased with the Colourwork at the front, but I think doing it magic loop I need to be more careful that I'm not too tight on the edges. If you can see there, I'm a little bit, it's very tight just on the edge there, so I'm going to have to be more careful. I did see on some tutorials that somebody knitted, I think it's Knitting with Suzanne Bryan, had suggested that you actually do 2 circulars instead, so that you can sort of smooth the stitches out so that you don't get a tight bit on the edges. So I shall try that. And also I noticed that the pattern actually says to cast on either 48 or 56 stitches, which is way too small with me, especially with Colourwork in. So I think I cast on either 64 or 68 stitches. I'll have to look that up for next time. But it was from some notes that somebody made from their project on the pattern page. I'm going to actually rip those back to just before the Colourwork so that I can get those edges nice and neat. So I'll let you know exactly what my stitch count was, and also I reduced just as I come to the after the Colourwork as well, so that the stitch count was correct for this bottom section as well. So I am enjoying sort of exploring my Colourwork there, and I've also started another Colourwork project. And this is the Peery Fleurs, and I've really not said that right. I'm dropping a stitch here. So this is my Peery Fleurs hat, and I've got on quite nicely with that. I'm really pleased with how this is knitting up. So this yarn was actually a purchase from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, so I've already done that since I've come back from Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And I think there's 6 colourways that you have to buy. 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 8. No, 7. So there's 7 colourways in this piece of work, but I actually cheated a bit, and I actually used the colours that it said in the pattern. So everyone's been saying on Instagram, oh, you've picked some lovely colours. It's basically because I cheated and picked the pattern, what colours they said in the pattern. I took a list to Edinburgh Yarn Festival of all the numbers of yarn I needed, and I just picked them basically. But it's actually quite a lot softer than I imagined, because it's 100% Shetland wool, and it's supposed to soften up when you wash it as well and wear it, so I'm really looking forward to how that's coming along. I am a tight knitter and I've got quite a big head, so I casted on the largest size of the 2 sizes in the pattern, and I used 3.5mm needles. Now I've tried this on as I'm going, and it is a little bit snug, but I think it will block out slightly bigger. But I think that'll fit nicely. I'm not sure whether I prefer a slightly slouchier hat, so I might knit it again and do some more repeats of the pattern, but I'm not sure yet. But it's so much fun to knit. Look at those cute little flowers. I love it. So I'm going to show you the inside of my Colourwork. So there we go. There's lots of floats on the inside, and you can see that I started to sew in my ends, and then when I come to here you can see all my ends hanging. I haven't sewn them in as I go, because I found on a previous project that it wasn't quite so neat when I sewed them in. Well, I sort of knitted them into the work as I go, so I've left them to sew in later. I really don't mind sewing them in, so that'll be quite fun when it's finished. So it's slightly longer, the larger size, than the smaller size in the pattern, so I've just got, I think I'm just nearly onto the decreases now, so that is going to be finished by the next episode, hopefully. I absolutely love Colourwork. I've been looking into some sort of cardigan yokes to do some more Colourwork in garment form, so that should be quite exciting. Right, so that's all my works in progress at the moment. I haven't actually worked on my water lily top, just because we did a lot of travelling up to Edinburgh, and I didn't want to have to deal with sort of lace when I'm driving along in the car. I find it easier to do sort of plain knitting, and then I've been going mad on the Colourwork since, so there we go. And we're on to the sewing section. I'm afraid Barbara's just gone, she's disappeared. She must have gone away for the Easter holidays. It's because I haven't had a chance to sew anything, but I thought I'd show you my Bettine dress that I showed Barbara was wearing on the last episode. So this is the Tilly and the Buttons pattern, and this is made in a chambray material, so it's like quite a stable cotton. It's quite a nice, soft, comfortable material to wear, but it doesn't have much give. I mentioned on the last episode that I was going to replace the elastic I'd put around the waist with something a bit more sturdy, because I find when I put my phone in my pocket, the elastic isn't sort of strong enough to keep it at the waist. So I will change that at some point, but I didn't have enough chance. I didn't have enough time before Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I did make some modifications to make the sleeves bigger. When I'd actually sewn it together the first time, I let out the sleeves slightly, but I think I could do with slightly more space. I don't think it looks too tight, and I think the rest fits okay. I don't find the skirt that comfortable, but I think it's because I'm not used to having skirts that are very restrictive. I normally have quite floaty ones or stretchy, like my Zadie dress, for instance. But I think that these pockets are really, really lovely. They're just like the Zadie dress, that in the fact I can stick loads of things in there. I don't know if I can quite get 100 grams of wool in like I can with my Zadie dress, but it's still good. I don't know if you can notice, actually, my dart is a little bit high here, but this is a sort of a wearable muslin sort of thing, so I've moved the dart like an inch down on the pattern now for my next version of it. I have actually got some fabric. I'll just grab it, hang on. So I'm going to make another Bettine in this fabric, which I've got washed ready, and this is out of a viscose material, and I think it might sort of give slightly more than the chambray, but I thought I'd wear this a couple of times before I cut this fabric out, so I could make any modifications that I've noticed during wear, because I think sometimes you don't quite realise how comfortable it is until you actually wear it all day. So there we go, that's my sewing section. Oh, I forgot to mention, this fabric's from Higgs and Higgs. I don't know whether it's my favourite fabric. I don't know if you can see that, but these little swallows, they're printed on and they're not particularly neat, the way they've been printed, but I think it looks nice from a distance. I'm not sure if I'd have bought it if I'd have seen it in real life rather than buying it off the internet, but I thought if I'm doing that like a sort of wearable muslin, or it's good to try out on something I don't care about as much as the second fabric I'm going to cut it out in. So there we go. So now we're going on to Blast from the Past. Now I've been watching, just recently started watching Grace's Babbles Travelling Yarns, and I saw she'd been doing some weaving, and I was really into weaving a few years ago, and I thought I'd pick out one of my scarves that I'd woven. So this is woven on my 4-shaft loom that I've got in my garage, which is absolutely huge. I haven't warped it up for ages. It takes quite a long time to warp it up. It takes about 6 hours to put a long warp on there. Well, it takes me 6 hours, so it's like a full day of messing around with the loom before I can actually get on with the weaving. So that's why I haven't used it. For this, I actually used some, I think it was some sock wool, so it's not the softest in the world, but I really like the pattern it came out with. It's just a very simple sort of weave, using the colours as the focus of the design. My loom actually does quite complicated patterns, but I just sometimes enjoy doing things that are quite simple with the colour work there. And I twisted the ends with a tool that I've got. I'll perhaps show you that on another episode where I can use it as my gadget. And I've knotted the ends there so that they've got a nice little tassels. And that's about, it's quite a long, I think I did it about 2 meters. Yeah, it must be. It's about 2 meters long, so that you can wrap it around your neck and keep you nice and warm. So there we go. I really ought to start doing some weaving again. I haven't done it for ages. I think we used to live in a smaller house, and to have my loom out on the dining room table used to be wreak havoc with the rest of the house. So I could probably put it up in the garage or something and use it now. So that would be much better. We'll see. So what we've got next, we've got the gadget section. Now, my friend Lorraine is going to laugh at me because I've totally nicked her idea. Hi Lorraine! So you can get these spectacle wipes in these little packages that you can pop in your knitting bag, and normally I use them to clean my glasses. So you can open them up and they're like a little paper wipe with, it's like some sort of alcohol so that you can clean your glasses with. But if you've got clammy hands, and you know how your stitches sort of get stuck on your needle a bit because your hands are a bit clammy, just wipe them with one of these. Brilliant idea, Lorraine. And it evaporates quickly because it's an alcohol based wipe, and then you can get on with your knitting, which I think is really useful. So I actually picked up these alcohol wipes. I might as well clean my glasses with them now I've opened them. I picked these up in a big box from Poundland, so then you can get them relatively cheaply, and I've seen them in places like Superdrug and Boots as well, but any sort of chemist, I suppose, if you haven't got Poundland. You can see me squinting when I haven't got my glasses on. There we go. Watch an episode of Ellie's podcast and you get to see her cleaning her glasses. Oh dear. Right, so we've done the gadget. We're now on to confessions, and like I said, there is more confessions, but I'm going to put it on the end of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival video that I'm going to upload in a couple of days. So I'm going to show you my fabric I've been buying. So I've been looking at my Make 9, and I really want to try and focus on getting all my Make 9 projects done for the end of the year, so I thought I need to get the fabric. Now, I'd seen the Eve dress on the Sew Over It, and I actually purchased it ages ago, and I wanted some crepe de chine sort of fabric, a nice drapey fabric to make the dress with. And I had seen a beautiful teal floral fabric on the So Happy podcast, but I actually went to the Fabricland website, saw it on there, purchased it, and they said there wasn't any left, so I was really annoyed. They have got a wine coloured one, but I decided to go for this instead, which is a bit bright and wild, nice and spring-like, I suppose. I'm not quite sure how well that's going to go. But it was only about £5 a metre, so to buy 4 metres to make the Eve dress, the Sew Over It Eve dress, is quite economical to sort of test it out. So that has got some nice drape. I've got quite a few layers of it there, so you can't really see how it drapes. Let's get one layer out. It's a nice soft drapey material. That's actually 2 layers still. Hopefully it's not going to be see-through, we'll see. So there we go, that's a drapey crepe de chine. And then I also bought another fabric from Fabricland because I wanted to make the, what's it called? It's a cashmerette dress, which I can't think what it's called. I will pop the name down here because I can't think of it right now. But I wanted to make a sort of evening dress with it. And this is a black sort of satin. This is actually written down as bridal satin, I think. And I thought that'd be nice and thick. I have washed this, so it's frayed all at the edges. I've actually showed you the wrong side before, so it's quite shiny there, and it's quite a nice thick satin, and this came up at only about £5 a metre as well. So I thought to make a sort of wearable muslin as well, this would be perfect. And actually, if it turns out okay, that'll be a nice dress. I'm just going to chuck my big piles of fabric on the floor, sort it out later. Right, so I was also thinking about the Eve dress for another version of it when I saw this fabric. Now, my friend Jo had said that they'd got some really nice fabrics on offer at this shop called Rainbow, and then they've got an online website, and I popped onto the website and I saw this and I could not resist. This has already been washed as well, ready for me to use, and I think that that will look stunning as an Eve dress. Actually, it looks even nicer on the camera because you can't see the creases so much. Because I've washed it and then it's been stuck in a pile of fabric for me to show you. So I thought that'd be nice as well. That's nice and drapey. And this is just listed as a viscose fabric, so that'll be lovely too. So I watch vlogs by Kittenish Behaviour, and she always says about a shop called Fabric Styles and how lovely she thinks the scuba fabric is. So I popped on to Fabric Styles and I ordered a couple of fabrics. So this is a nice bright feathery fabric that I thought, well, at the time I thought I might make another Zadie dress out of it, but I'm not sure whether that'd be a bit too much or whether I should perhaps get a plain navy to go with that for the side panels of the Zadie dress, but we'll see. I can't really use the back of it because it's actually white on the back, and I don't think that that goes as well like I did with the other fabric. But there we go. I bought 2 meters of this. With the Fabric Styles, you can't buy ½ meter measures. So even if I made like a cocoa top, I'd have to buy 2 meters to get the full. Well, I need about 1.5 meters for that. So that's that one. And then I also ordered this one. This is a scuba as well, and it's one that I think Sian from Kittenish Behaviour has bought a couple of times, and it's got some lovely flowers on. They actually look quite nice quality. I've not really worked with scuba before. I actually have another piece of scuba that I wanted to make a skirt with, but I haven't got round to that yet. But like I said, I bought this on the idea that I'd make some either tops, like a cocoa, or a Zadie dress with them. And I got 2 meters of each. I did buy a third fabric, but it hasn't arrived yet. It was sort of on pre-order, so when that comes, I'll show you how I get on. So I'm trying to, when I buy fabric, I want to know exactly what it's for, or at least have it from my Make 9 list. There's one thing that I purchased in yarn-wise that I haven't got from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, so I'll show you that. This is the Hydrangea Yarn that I picked up from Sylvan Tiger Yarn, which is gorgeous, sort of pale purples and pinks that are just like hydrangea, so I'm really pleased about that. And I got it in the 100% Blue Face Leicester wool, which is 400 meters, and I'm really looking forward to casting that on. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to cast on yet, so we'll have to see. I'll keep you posted. So thank you so much, Katie. So that's my confessions, and I'm just going to chat a bit about my shop update, and then I shall leave you to get on with your crafting. So my shop update is going to be on the 6th of April at 7:30. It's British summertime, and I'm going to have some yarn in there. So I did intend to get some yarn in for this Friday, but I just haven't had a chance to get as much done as I wanted to with the pattern coming out on Friday as well. So I thought I'll just leave it till next week, and everybody will be relaxed from their lovely weekend away. And I just wanted to show you some bags that I'd been making, and I popped in the shop earlier this week that were sort of spring themed. So there are a few of these spring themed bags in the shop. They're a nice blue base with some little hares and some chicks on there and some beautiful blossomy trees. There we go. And that's got a little heart progress keeper. Trying to show you on camera, a little heart progress keeper and a little ribbon on the pole there, and inside there's a little pocket for you to pop your bits and bobs in. There's also some of these DPN cases as well that match it, and they're lined with Egyptian cotton in the white to be nice and sort of spring-like, the same as the bag. So there we go. I did have some other bags, but I completely sold out of those already, literally the same day as I put them up. So thank you so much for purchasing from my shop if you have. And that's all I've got to say for today. So thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to catch the Edinburgh Yarn Festival video that I'll be popping up in the next couple of days. And happy crafting! Bye!